Hey guys, Mostly Nerdy, about to do some more Dark Souls 3, and you're probably thinking, what? Dude, you already did this video, I think. I don't know, I didn't watch it, because nobody watches these videos. But there's a reason that I'm back in this dungeon, and it's because I gotta show you how to get to the next area, because you might not know. And some people might not even know that this area exists. Some people might think this game's over a year old, so probably they know that it exists. But I just want to show you how to get here because I missed it because I hadn't beaten one of the other enemies that you have to beat in order to get this. So in order to get this, you have to beat the Consumed King in the Consumed King's Garden after beating the Dancer. So after you beat that boss, you end up getting a gesture that you can use. So you need that gesture to open up this area. So just follow the path, or if you have a quicker way, which you shouldn't, because this should be the quickest way to get there, then once you get here, you use that gesture. If you don't have it equipped yet, just switch out for one of the other ones and use it. Try to be a little more patient than me because I played around with it for a little bit and maybe I just wasn't in the right spot or facing the right way exactly. You will eventually get it right. Basically what I'm doing here is just trying to match up with that message that was left, and I'm still being impatient with it, and I'm getting mad, and I'm looking at these other guys who are stuck like that, and I'm like, dude, what? Come on. Let's do this. Let's get this done. I probably should have just edited this out. But in reality, it doesn't take that long for it to kick in. So you'll end up getting a cutscene and you will get traveled to this area, and we will be following the path of the dragon. So there's a couple of things to note. I almost didn't see this item in the corner because it's kind of camouflaged against the sky, and it's some souls, so always good to pick those up. After you pick those up, you can just take like this one linear path that it really gives you. You'll meet the first enemies of this area. These guys are actually rather annoying, or at least they were for me. They're pretty hyper aggressive in their attacks, and they have super long annoying necks that they can get a decent range with, and usually they are not alone, so usually you're fighting more than one at a time, so that can get kind of annoying if they start getting into a cycle of attacking you. But if you run up here, there is this item up here, and lightning gem, so that's a good one. Get a little bit of a lay of the land from right there, and then follow the path that you were just on and pick up the item on the left. But watch out, because you're going to be getting fire shot at you, because that is another annoying thing about these enemies, is that they have these fire attacks that they can get you with. And you can see as soon as I got close enough to really attack with my melee, another one came out of the corner. Like I said, these guys do not travel alone, and once I backed up far enough, they started doing the fire again. Both of them did, so watch out for that. So these guys are super annoying whenever I look back and watch myself play. So I knew that I had issues, but even as I get close to this other one that is right here, another one comes out of the corner and attacks me. So traveling in packs seems to be the theme for these enemies. You can see that there's a bonfire right there, and then there's this item right here. It's a Titanite chunk, so not bad. And then I wasn't sure if I saw something over there or not, so I guess not. So we'll just head over here and we will get this bonfire real quick, because I am not sure what happens if you die and you don't light the bonfire in this area first. So go ahead and rest up. And this is one thing that's interesting about this area, is that these enemies are literally right next to you. So since they're right there, you could theoretically farm right there, but they don't really have that many souls. So just run past them and then pick up the souls on the right and then keep going, and you'll end up at this gate, and then you see some messages around. If you come around this way, you will end up in a pathway with an enemy right there, so you can take the enemy out. I think this was like one of the few times that I fought one without another one coming at me. So we can pick that up, and that's a ring, so you can take a look at that and see how that would impact your build. I'm not going to do anything with it because I don't really have any kind of thing other than melee going on with my guy. So we can pull this lever and it'll open up this gate. Once you open up the gate, you can either go straight ahead, or there is this bigger enemy up here that you can attack. This is not mandatory. I don't even think I saw anything after fighting this guy. I would recommend not falling down, so you can fall down right there. The only good thing about coming down this way is you won't get hit with the fire from a distance while you're fighting this guy. This guy is bad enough as it is. So the bigger guys are rather capable of killing you, so just be aware of that. Not too hard to avoid their attacks, but a lot of power, and it's not exactly like they're super slow, so some of their attacks are slower than others, but they do have pretty big wind up on these attacks. You can see that they do have a decent amount of HP as well, so well, you know, like I said, fighting this guy is not even really mandatory. I think that there is an item up here, but I think that might have been just one item, and I don't even think I picked it up on this run through. It was right there to the left. I think I missed it because it's kind of camouflaged. And then just to show you that this leads to really nothing other than items, there's this one, which is a Titanite chunk, but it was unnecessary to take that path because it just takes you right back to where you were. So I'm going to transition here because I died, and you're going to see why I died really soon. This guy. This fight is actually not really a fight, so if you try to fight this guy, not really going to be doing that much damage. There are items off to the right and everything that I skipped for right now, because you can come back to this area afterwards and pick up all the stuff, and you don't even necessarily really have to fight these guys right here. And you can see that they even take damage from the fire that is trying to kill you. So you can fight these guys. I would recommend fighting them at some point, because also, as I say that, check out this parry attack that they have. I got hit with that a couple times. I didn't use it a whole bunch, but I did get hit with it a couple times, so be aware of that. But as I was saying before that happened, these guys will follow you. And as you can see, as these two drop down to try to sneak up on you, if you let those other two follow you, and then you have those two drop down, there's going to be 4 of them that you have to fight at the same time, because there's another one up here, and then there's another one hiding. So if you just try to run through, it's probably not going to work. But you can take that one out after getting there, and then this one will lunge at you, so just try to trigger that lunge. And then watch that stance. You see that stance that he has right there? If they're in that stance, that's their parry stance. So be aware of that. So I'm just kind of letting him run his course on the parry stance so that I don't get parried. And then you can go to the left and go up and kill a couple more enemies. I think there was an item up there, but I actually just ran past because I figured out what I needed to do. So you need to run past and then just go up the ladder here, trying to avoid getting hit by the fire while you do that, and try to avoid getting hit by fire from the boss. But right here I actually came down, and you just fall down here, and then there's another platform to land on, and then basically you need to try to aim your jump and come down and do a plunging attack on this boss. The first time I tried to do this, I actually fell to my death. So if you like my montage of death videos or my compilation death videos or anything like that, then that'll be a good one for you. You'll end up getting a cutscene after beating that enemy, and then you'll come here and there's a bonfire right away. And then I kind of forgot to record the few steps from the bonfire to this room, but immediately you get welcomed by one of these guys. And the reason that this guy shows up after I killed him, I figured this out. There is another enemy up the stairs that is basically summoning this guy, and he is just eating away at my stamina. So I can't really do too much with my shield because he just eats away at my stamina. I'm trying to get backstabs, as you can guess, because that is my go-to. I've gotten a couple in on him and he's still alive, so decent amount of health. This is a decent farming spot if you can kill this guy consistently and somewhat quickly, since it's right next to a bonfire, and the person who summons this guy will just keep doing so. So basically he will just keep coming. I don't know, I know that there are times where other types of enemies get summoned, but I don't think that they get summoned in this area. I think it's always going to be one of these enemies. Eventually we'll end up getting this guy down. You can see he's pretty low on health. He just rolls around a lot and does a lot of blocking and everything. So you can see that they even switch from holding their weapon in both hands to using the shield. But you can see I got a decent amount of souls for killing that guy. So that could be a farming spot for you if you wanted to do that, considering it's right next to a bonfire. So if you come out through there, there's that item to pick up, and there's that introduction to that type of enemy. That enemy you'll run into a couple more times. Nothing special about them. They do breathe fire though, so Watch out for that. So there were a couple of Titanite scales, and then if you come up through this opening, it takes you to the upper floor of where we were just at fighting that guy, and you'll see that that was the enemy right there that was summoning those creatures, or I guess not a creature, more of a knight. But yeah, that enemy was the one that summoned that guy. So if you want to stop that happening, take that guy out, and then you'll end up stopping the summoning. Once once the enemy is summoned, though, I think he is summoned. So I think if you go down the stairs or anything, he will still be there. It looks like he's still there. So yeah, that's up to you if you want to go fight that guy again or not. If you drop down here, it takes you to the same spot as where those stairs would. So there are a couple enemies right here, and it's warning you right here. So I kind of avoided it. But you can see there's an elevator here. If you take that elevator, it takes you down. So we'll go ahead and see what's going on down here. It's another decent sized elevator, and this takes you right to where the bonfire was. Well, not right to it, but that would take you back to the bonfire if you wanted a shortcut to get to where you were taken to after beating the last boss, or I guess it was more of a mini boss. So general gaming knowledge would say, hey, go to the place that you haven't been before. So you can go through this opening right here, or you can drop down. Either way works. So if you go down these stairs, because you can't go through that gate yet, we'll end up opening that gate here in a second, but you can see that there's enemies, and then there is going to be an enemy hiding in the entryway on the left side, or the cubbyhole, and you can see he doesn't even follow the laws of physics. He just put his face right through a wall to bite me. So be aware that this guy is hacking the game, you hacker. So anyway, just be aware that he's there. And then you got a couple of them that have shields. If you fought the enemy whenever you were first introduced to the dragon that I skipped, I think he had a shield. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure he did. So kind of annoying that they have the shields now. They're a little less aggressive than the ones that don't have shields, and it looks like if you got them with a few decent attacks, they would probably get staggered. So just take your time, and eventually these guys will go down. You can see that they both got staggered there. So like I said, it's probably pretty easy to get them to drop those shields. So once you get one of them, the other ones should be pretty easy. It's pretty easy to get around them. I don't even think you really have to be attacking you to be able to get around them. But you can see that there's another one of them in the corner there. This guy's got the dual wheel going on, so don't have to worry about the shield. And there's another one right there who just came after me too. So just take them out. So there was the one hiding on the left, there were two with the shields, and then there were those two. So there's a decent amount of enemies in that area if you try to run past. But there is another big guy. If you ignored the first big guy, because it is very optional to fight the first one, this would be your first introduction to these guys. And these guys did kill me quite a few times, so like I said, very capable of killing you, just because they do an okay amount of damage with their attacks, but they do have a decent amount of HP as well. And of course, since they're so big, I can't get my backstabs in, and I love my backstabs. That's my big technique on anybody I can get backstabs in on. Um, but after you clear that area, we can run across here. I was super thinking that one of these boards was gonna break or something like that, because that's like video game 101 right there. And then we see a crystal lizard right here. Try to get them to run up towards that chest just for safety's sake. Um, there is an item here that you can't get until you get outside of this building, so ignore that for now. If you come this way, a couple of more of those rock-looking enemies that breathe fire will come after you. And then there's this chest, which is just a normal chest. Very, very rare for Dark Souls 3 at this point. So go ahead and pick up your goodies, and then we can head out here. And immediately we will see that there is that enemy, and then there's actually another enemy to the right. So they will roll at you and try to kill you. And there's the fire that they will breathe at you. These guys are not difficult. They are just pretty hard to do damage to with melee weapons. So it's because of that rocky exterior. So and fire does not do that much either. So basically everything that I have any good stats on does nothing to these guys. But eventually they'll go down, you'll get a little bit of souls, nothing major. So just know that they're there, but that's not even the biggest issue you have to worry about coming up here. We can just kill this one so we don't have to worry about it. You could easily run past this one, but the only reason that I don't recommend that is because of what's coming up. There's nothing going on over here. This is just where that other enemy came from. To the left is where we can pick up that item, so we'll go ahead and do that. But by doing that, we triggered that dragon. So we can just come back in here, and you can see I put on some armor and stuff that is good against fire. So if you want to do that, I say go for it. You can probably wait till after you kill these guys. I know that some of the attacks that they have are fire attacks, but they also have some pretty solid melee damage if you don't have hardly any armor against it. So, and the reason that I went with the fire protection is because even whenever I just run, it does fire attack immediately, and then every time I ran past this thing, it would kind of glitch the camera a little bit, or take a weird camera angle, and then it would make it so you easily would have to take a second to figure out what was going on and get your bearings back. But eventually you'll run past all that stuff, and you will end up getting to this area, which if you come through here, straight away there is an enemy who can summon. So if you come at it, it will summon someone to attack you. I was looking for it because I knew it was coming, and it happens right there. So I figure I'm going to go ahead and kill this guy. If he doesn't kill me first, because look at my health. And then his enemy that he summoned is still here. But as you can see, the enemy has like nothing for armor or anything like that. So they do have some quick attacks. So if they hit you with the first one, they do repeat quite often with their attacks. You see how they do that with their thrusting. So, but you can see that they also don't take physical damage very well. So physical shield's going to be good against this guy. So after beating this guy, you get his weapon, and then that's pretty much all that's going on here. So we can just take this path up these stairs, and then there's going to be a bell on the left. Do not ring the bell. I say that quick enough. I hope that you did not ring the bell. Don't ring the bell yet. That whenever you ring that bell, it puts everything in like a foggy state and opens up an area for a boss. But you don't want to fight that boss yet. That boss is pretty much described as the hardest boss in the game, if not one of the hardest bosses. So instead, there's a bonfire right past it that you can light and rest and all that stuff, and then take the other path. You can see that there's at least a few enemies in here, so you can go ahead and take these guys out. There are the bigger enemies as well, but there are going to be a lot that come through as this guy parries me because he's a jerk face. Your face is jerky and you're a jerk face. So just take these guys out. Be aware that if you take too long to kill these guys, you will start getting attacked from the enemies that are coming up through here, where the one standing with the shield. You can kind of see that one of them is coming, so it is easy to fall behind in terms of killing these guys quickly to try to ensure that you don't have to fight 80 billion of them at the same time, and I failed doing that. I guess I didn't, I took that guy out. But it's a lot easier to kill the smaller guys than the bigger guys, so that's going to be the hard part. And as you can see, I'm backing up to try to create some distance between where I'm standing and where those other enemies are. So trying to make it so that I don't have to kill this guy as quickly, so I don't have to be as aggressive whenever I attack. Even though I'm being pretty aggressive so that I don't have any stamina to attack this guy. But eventually you'll get this guy to go down, and then we are still not done with killing these guys. You can see that there's another one coming. But him's just a little guy, so you don't have to worry about that guy. Just take him out like any other guy. He doesn't even have a shield. Did you not just see what I did with my awesome skills in Dark Souls? This guy's backing up. Oh, as I could have easily been parried there. Or riposted. I think that's how you say that word. I don't think that's how you say that word. Anyway, another one of those guys. So by my count, that's like 5 or 6 of the little guys and 2 of the bigger ones. And you can even see one in the background that we still have to fight. So come prepared whenever you come to this area. So you can finally get rid of this one, and then pick up whatever he drops, and then head that way, because I think that they stop coming at you at a certain point. So there are these stairs there. If you're lucky, one of them will come at you and you can fight one at a time, because that's another one of the little guys. He had a buckler shield, I think, and then there's that big one right there. I'm gonna go ahead and back up just in case there's any more of the enemies who want to come at me, bro. So just be aware. I don't know if you saw that, but one of the attacks that that enemy has is if you try to get behind him, he will basically extend out his neck behind his body and grab you and slam you. So that is an attack that he can do, and I think it does a decent amount of damage. But it looks like we've cleared out the area. So after you clear out the area, you can run up these stairs, and you can do it a little bit quicker than me, because I was just expecting more of them to come out at this point because there were so many. But once you come up here, there is the option to do a gesture, which is going to be Path of the Dragon again, and then you will get the Torso Stone. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but if you go back to the bonfire where we first saw the knight that was getting summoned, you can do the gesture there too, towards right next to the bonfire basically, and you'll end up getting something for that too. I might have failed to mention that, but if I did, I'm not going to go back and add it, so sorry. But come up these stairs, and there's a ladder, and then there's another one of these enemies. You can really run past them and just climb the ladder without having to kill this guy. But I'm riding a high of killing all those enemies. So, especially considering they killed me quite a few times whenever I was trying to do that. But you're going to come up to this area, and there is this chest right here, which that's 2 in a row that were actual chests, which is amazing. I know, it's amazing. But we can go up this ladder, and then we will get a pretty cool item after we have to fight a pretty difficult enemy. So this is a special kind of knight, and what makes him special is that he is basically immune to physical damage. I guess immune's not the right word, but physical damage basically does nothing to this guy. And that's basically all I got going on. So he is pretty slow. That's pretty good for you. But he killed me so many times just because I don't do damage to this guy with my weapon. My build is not very good against this guy, and I assume that he is meant to be difficult because of the item we're about to get. So, if you can get backstabs in, go for it. That was what I was doing because that was basically all I could do. My regular physical attacks were not doing that much. He does have an opening for backstabs whenever he does his lunging attack, so if you can try to get him to do that, then I say go for it. But usually I could get 2 or 3 attacks in. If you get him trying to do that, where he just kind of stands still, he is going to make himself even more able to absorb the damage from physical attacks. It also slows him down even more and makes him fat roll, but it makes it so that you do even less damage. Eventually that'll go away, but you can backstab him before he does that, and it will actually stop him from doing it too. So you can see that he is almost dead, I guess, somewhat. I think at this point this was the closest I had gotten. Really, you could pick up the item and then just run, I think, but I was trying to prove a point to myself that I could beat this guy because he had killed me so many times. So I'm starting to get the timing down on the backstabs, and then you kill him, and then you get a couple of goodies, and then a Titanite slab. So I think that was the second Titanite slab that I had gotten. The other one being in the Grand Archives. It might have been the third, because there's one at the bottom of an elevator by the Dragon Slayer armor. So, yeah, so get that Titanite slab, and then after you get that Titanite slab, you can come down this way, and then I don't think that there was anything over here except for one item. So you can pick up the item here, and it's an ember, and then you can't go through that gate yet. But so we can go back to the bonfire, and you can fill your flask, level up your guy, anything you want to do. Since we are going to be running right past it. And then after we do that, I will show you, arguably and not argued against very much, the hardest boss in the game. And you can see I got lucky. There was an Warrior of Sunlight summon sign there. I didn't see any NPC summon signs. Apparently there's this whole thing with NPC summon signs there. So you might have to go to the Abyss Watchers and kill somebody there to even make it a possibility. So this is the King of the Storm, which is basically not the actual boss. It is what he is riding on. So this wasn't the hard part of the fight. I mean, it wasn't necessarily easy, but you can see that the guy who was with me did a lot of damage against this guy. And you'll end up getting a cutscene, and this isn't really much of a cutscene, so I left some of it in there. This is the part that makes it kind of difficult, and against him, he has lightning, so if you have anything to up your resistance to lightning and physical damage, please equip it, because this guy is no joke with his lightning damage and everything like that. And you can see that my attacks aren't necessarily doing a whole bunch of damage to this guy. And I don't know what level I was, what my soul level was, but I was not doing damage to this guy very much. He was hyper aggressive and super damaging with his attacks. So it seems like range is a good strategy against this guy. This is basing everything off of what the Warrior of Sunlight that was with me was doing, and not what I was doing. I actually equipped, I think, one of the Knight's shields, because I think it had 100% physical and 85% lightning. So that might be something that you try, because whenever I had the Shield of Want, that was 100% physical and like 35% lightning, so he was still doing a lot of damage with the lightning. So this guy is hyper aggressive and does a lot of damage. I was able to get his health to about halfway down, maybe once whenever I fought this guy by myself, which I did a few times, more than a handful of times. But eventually you'll end up teleported or traveled to this bonfire right here. And then there are just some items to pick up. So I'll go ahead and rest. And then I think I leveled up my guy and stuff. But I saw an item, so I'll go ahead and show you what that is. And then there is another item. So there's a Titanite slab right there. So that's excellent. And then speed things up because nothing going on. I was checking every nook and cranny. And then right here, I didn't see an actual item, but I went to read that message, and it picked up that armor set. So there's that armor set as well. But after that, I kind of just ran around to find out what was going on, where I was at in terms of the map, which led to finding nothing else. So we're going to go ahead and just say we're done with this area. We beat one of the hardest bosses in the game, and it was quite fun. This was a fun area and purely optional, but it was worth playing it. So like, subscribe, comment, be my friend if you want to be my friend. Love friends. But as always, guys, end this video by saying, stay nerdy.